The year is 2025, and I have at long last played, completed, rolled credits, finished Disco Elysium. And here's what I think of the game.
This is a cool moment. It needs a cool thing to be said.
What? What did you say? You're still not saying it right. It's too late now.
The old woman shakes her head.
Okay. Given the amount of praise I've seen over the past 5 years of my life for Disco Elysium, I actually knew surprisingly little about this game going into it. I knew it was kind of like dystopian, maybe a little bit futuristic or sci-fi adjacent. It's actually not as much as I thought it was going to be. Yeah, I didn't know a huge amount about the game. I just had heard it was amazing. And I knew it was an RPG, so I knew there was going to be like leveling and skills and stuff. I knew that, I suppose. Maybe not like consciously, but like subconsciously I knew those things going into it. I was just excited to explore whatever this beast of a game was that has, you know, touched and moved so many people since its release. I've heard people, more and more people over time, similarly to Outer Wilds, which is now my favorite game of all time. I played that like just over a year ago, and leading up to that playthrough, I had heard a lot of people saying it's the best game ever, and that opinion was just becoming more common with time. The exact same thing has been happening with Disco Elysium. People seem to be looking back at Disco Elysium as like a landmark masterpiece game. And I was just really excited to properly get immersed and locked into whatever was waiting for me in this game. And I've got a few close friends who really ride or die by this game too. I actually spoke to someone recently, I met someone recently who was telling me it's their favorite game, it's the best game ever, and that actually inspired me to stop what I was doing, just like, you know what, let me just dedicate a good few weeks to getting immersed and lost in Disco Elysium. Disco Elysium is truly once in a lifetime. This game is one of a kind. There's never going to be another Disco Elysium, which is a bittersweet thing to say, because it's like, this game is really singular, really unique, really thought-provoking and powerful in one breath, but also there was supposed to be more. This was originally a game that was going to build off into more sequels and spin-offs in the same universe, but I don't think there's much hope of that happening anymore at all. As far as I know, the members of the team that made this game, Disco Elysium, are not really on good terms. They have their own individual studios, and the rights to the intellectual property of Disco Elysium are kind of all over the place in shambles, so I don't think there's really any hope of there being much extended work surrounding this world. Such a shame, because my goodness, is this game one that you just want to comb every single possible facet of, like every leaf you want to turn over, everything. You want to explore every nook and cranny of this game. This is a game that will haunt your mind, and it has really been haunting my mind since I rolled credits on it just 2 to 3 days ago at this point. So this is still very reactionary, what I'm saying to you. This is still very first impressions. It's a game that I think I'll just be sitting with, slowly digesting, just ruminating over for a long, long time. And it's a game that does beg to be analysed and picked apart, and I'm sure there are so many video essays on YouTube talking about the ideologies of this game and everything. I've just been kind of trying to avoid all that discourse and settle into what I had, with the experience that I had with this game. And here we go. Let me give you the ups, the downs, the nitty-gritty details of what I thought, of my opinion here.
Reach your hand towards the surface of the mirror. Abort. You clearly have not thought this through. You won't like what you see there, and you will never unbecome it.
I cannot remember the last time the first 10 to 15 minutes of a game had me this fucking hooked. Man, I was from minute one transfixed by Disco Elysium, you know. I was already like giving it the time and respect and attention it deserved because, you know, I'd heard so much praise about it, so I knew it did warrant my full attention. But sometimes you get into a game that you hear is really good, but it takes a while for it to really sweep you away and have you really care about it. And I cared about Disco Elysium so quickly. It starts off with some internal dialogue. It's a black screen, and it's your own psyche like having a conversation with itself. And I was trying to figure out like what's going on. Like, who are these voices? Who are these characters? Are these people in my imagination? Are these people outside talking to me? Am I unconscious? And it turns out That was true. I was unconscious. A few minutes later, I wake up. I'm fresh off a hangover. You're just constantly asking questions right at the beginning of the game. You're sort of trying to engage with it, and it's aware of what you're expecting and how to subvert it, and it's always a few steps ahead. And then you start talking to characters, and you just realize that this world is a bit shattered and torn apart, and the people here are very extreme personality-wise. There is so much character given to everyone in this game.
The words have already left your mouth.
What was that? That's not even how words are used. What did you say? Come on, say it again. No, you see, that's not what you said. You said... Come on, man. Freddy, please. One more time. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings.
Voice acting across the board was insane. I actually was blown away to discover that half of the fucking voice acting in this game wasn't originally in the game. Apparently the original version, the non-final cut version, had no voice acting, like the narration.
Something stirs in you as she's about to go. Call it an instinct, a need. The need to ask questions. It's like you said the words 1,000,000 times before. She looks back at you, a light glinting off her eyes.
He wasn't in the game originally. That is fucking insane to me. I can't imagine this game without that. Oh my god, it's so descriptive. Every little emotion, every little gesture is given to you in the text in this game. And yeah, I can't believe that narrator was not in the game originally. And most of the characters also weren't voice acted, but in the final cut version of the game, everything has been voice acted. And I gotta say, all the performances are brilliant. A lot of the people in this game are quite caricature-esque, you know, they're a little exaggerated, whether it be through how they demonstrate their political ideologies and their beliefs, whether it be how they assert themselves onto you or treat you or see you as an authority figure. There's not a lot of respect for authority in this game. The population of Martinez, which is the place the game, you know, takes place in, is like clearly depleting. There's not a huge amount of people to talk to. You often forget you're in like a whole city. You know, there should be people everywhere. But yeah, there's a lot of misery and confusion and conflict happening in this world, and it definitely feels like a mirror of our world in like a more haunting dystopian lens. As dreamlike and hypnotizing as these characters are to speak to, like some of them just have really weird, strange delivery, whether it be Kuno's just really amped up like rebellion, or Measurehead's just robotic, strange fucking vocal inflections.
Okay, pig. Talk to Kuno. We're back in this shit. The fuck do you want?
The people in this game are just a little bit broken or frustrated, or just like they've hit like some kind of breaking point in their life. There is a lot of political turmoil in this game, and it definitely feels like an eerie, warped version of our world. The narration does an amazing job to help center you into that reality, because it gives you every little detail of everything you're seeing. The color palette is great. The colors feel like they're sort of desperate to overtake, like they're sort of seeping through, but they're just being buried by the kind of drab, cloudy misery. Everything as far as the presentation and art style I thought was just really lovely to look at, and there's just a lot of character in the world of this game. I've not really talked about the main sort of gimmick or sort of crux of the story, which is that you're a detective who doesn't know his own name. You do learn his name. I don't know if I should say it, you know, if it's a spoiler. I guess it's not really a spoiler, but just to preserve that experience in case you haven't played it, I'll just call him the nameless cop. He's a policeman, he's a detective, and he's got complete amnesia. You can't remember his own name, he can't remember anything. The basic concepts of life, like marriage and politics and money and history, they're all just wiped from his brain. He's constantly asking questions and curious and apologizing.
Emits a loud snore. Is he about to wake up? Doesn't look like it, but you never know. Better be quick. You slip the plastic ID card out of the loop and pocket it. The man continues to snore.
Your first impression of the guy is he's fucking drunk, wakes up in his underwear, hungover, and he's on a murder case. He's got to solve this murder, and he's a few days into it, and he's making no progress, and he has no clue what he did the night before, but there are many traces of pain and destruction that you sort of slowly unravel as you talk to people, and they're like, oh my god, not you again, what the fuck, why you go away, leave me alone. They hate you. People hate you in this game, and you don't have no idea why. And the RPG elements are so cleverly used in that they're kind of there to help you rebuild this person in whatever way you see fit. There is so much flexibility to how you can build this guy. The skills you can put points into are literally elements of the human brain, like your logic encyclopedia, your motor functions, and like your pain threshold, stuff like that. You can put points into reaction speed, you can put points into conceptualization, I think is one of them. You can put points into empathy, so you can really feel the pain and the suffering from other people, and you can even overdo it. Like, you could put too many points into empathy to the point where you start getting legitimately physically hurt in the game. That happened to me. Like, my health, like my morale in the game, like, depleted because I was too empathetic towards someone else. I was like, whoa, this shit is crazy. And depending on which things you put points into, you gain, like, thoughts. There are these thoughts you can internalize in the game. Like, if you put a bunch of points into drama and you start performing like karaoke, you can internalize the idea of superstar cop. There's also hobo cop. And if you become hobo cop, you can walk past like a couch and you can see it as like, oh, I can do this with the couch. You can think of practical ways to use the couch that you wouldn't think of if you didn't internalize Hobocop. Because you've internalized Hobocop, you're thinking of things from like a hobo lens, you know, so you start interacting with things differently. This game definitely warrants multiple playthroughs because just the way you engage with people, conversations, the text here massively fluctuates based on what you decide to build your character as. No relationship being more important than the one between yourself and your partner in this whole expedition. Kim!
A bespectacled man in an orange bomber jacket is tapping his foot on the floor. Looks like he's waiting for someone. As you approach, he narrows his eyes and extends his hand in greeting. On the sleeve of his bomber jacket, as well as on its back, are the same enigmatic white rectangles as on your blazer.
Hello, I'm Kim Kitsuragi.
Everyone loves Kim, dude. I'm sorry, Kim has got to be one of the most likable fucking characters ever. This dude rocks, man. He's a very patient, level-headed, by-the-book detective who is putting up with your shit the entire game. And you can become a horrible person in this game. You can be a racist, fascist, piece of shit, sexist, misogynistic, disgusting slimeball, addicted to drugs. You can be just the most insufferable detective of all time. And Kim, he's there to sort of be your anchoring point, helping you through it. He's extremely funny too. Some of the best moments have got to be when he just sort of indulges in whatever stupid thing you're saying and just kind of plays along with you. Like, there are a few moments where he'll really be sick of your shit. You're like, bro, what are you doing? Like, you'll ask a question that's completely inappropriate. He'll be like, not now, detective, don't do that. But other times he'll like chuckle at it, and yeah, he feels so well written and so lived in. The writing in this game, I've got to say, like, the praise I've seen for this game has been primarily, like, before playing it, has been primarily for the writing. And yeah, this has got to be like the most well-written fucking game ever. This is an absurdly good script. It's a huge script. At times it can be a little over the top and absurd. Its approach to reflecting the politics of the world can be a little too extreme and on the nose, and I don't know, there's not a huge amount of room for like nuance or exploring the mindset of the people who feel really seen by kind of communist views or racist views or things like that. It's sort of painting a portrait of what kind of diving headfirst into these views can kind of turn you into, I suppose. This game's voice is a satirical one, it's a very cynical one, and at times it can be really poetic and thought-provoking, but other times it can be just super fucking bonkers.
Different. As if my mind's been wiped clean.
A spot of static overrides her words. When she speaks again, it sounds like she's submerged.
It's so nice. It's so nice to be able to finally forget.
She sounds like she's about to cry. She doesn't answer.
There was a moment in this game that had me crying and laughing so much. I won't spoil the moment if you haven't played the game. All I'm going to say, it involves your character, the nameless cop, honoring himself. You know exactly what I mean if you played the game. That shit had me crying, laughing. I was in fucking stitches at that part. And there are moments where you'll be given a dialogue the game will like fucking full on prank you. Like you'll be given a dialogue option that just makes no fucking sense. Like you can mid conversation just say like boom boom shakalaka motherfucker or something like that, and you'll say that, and then your own brain will talk to you like, dude, why would you say that? What is wrong with you? You made a fool of yourself. Everyone's looking. Like you start getting really self-conscious, and it's like, dude, what the fuck? I just walked right into that. Like you can't not pick that. Are you kidding me? Your own fucking brain like fucks with you, man. And yeah, it ends up being a really fucking brutal display of mental illness for sure. That whole sequence early on in the game involving the expression genuinely really unsettled me. That freaked me the fuck out. That genuinely freaked the shit out of me. I was like, this is a really morbid and real look at someone's broken mind. You slowly learn kind of elements of your nameless cop's past and what drove them to be so alcoholic and miserable and gross. And you can find it sympathetic, you can find it just pathetic. How you respond to it is your decision. Again, you're given so much room to fill in those gaps. And as an RPG experience, it is one of the most effective role-playing experiences out there. It's an amazing RPG framework.
The driver proceeded to back out of the yard, barely stopping before hitting the adjacent building. Before heading south, must have been in a hurry.
You are correct. This is a rather motor carriage friendly city.
Somehow that makes you feel scared.
So it's a murder mystery game. This is actually where my personal beef with the game comes into the equation. I have got some qualms with it. It's a detective game, but it's only pretending to be one. It's masking itself as a detective game, but this is not a detective game. You're playing as a detective and you're solving a case, but you're not actually solving anything in this game, and this really bugged me. Solving the case in this game, what that actually means is you go up to people, you talk to them until you exhaust all of the fucking possible dialogue branches you can do, and then a new task will pop up saying, go talk to this guy. You go there, exhaust the dialogue, new task, talk to this guy, and you do that until the game ends, pretty much. That's the game, essentially, and the appeal comes in just how you build your character and the conversations and the amazing writing and the world building. Like, the entire time I was having a great time doing that. But that is the act of solving the mystery. And I really wish there was more attention put towards having a more tactile interaction with the mystery itself. As someone that fucking loves like, I've really come to acknowledge recently how amazing detective work is in video games. LA Noire and Alan Wake 2 are a couple more mainstream examples. They actually have you, like, piecing clues together and figuring out what's going on, allowing you to fill in gaps and come to your own theories and conclusions of what's going on. But taking it a step further are games like Outer Wilds or Return of the Obra Dinn or The Case of the Golden Idol or Grun. These are games where you're literally having to physically engage with the game and piece together the clues and figure shit out. It's an amazing way to tell the story, to have you feel connected to the story, but also in it from a gameplay perspective, just that's so satisfying. It's an amazing gameplay loop. Disco Elysium doesn't attempt any of this, despite being a full-on detective story, and I find that really frustrating. Like, imagine if next to the journal and the thoughts panel in the game, you had a clues panel where you could reflect on all of the information that you get in the game and all of the details of the people and their political ideology that they subscribe to and where they were at the scene of the crime, and you could try and figure out what happened. Like, that would be fucking awesome and actually present a cool case to get involved with. Then we come to the ending of the game, right?
The fuck are you calling a third person? Kudos the fucking first person?
He looks slightly confused, but proud he came up with that retort.
There was a moment in the ending I did love involving a creature. I won't spoil what happens, obviously, but that was a really lovely, kind of hopeful final moment that I found really beautiful. However, how the actual case resolves, bro, I get what they're going for in that it's sort of presenting the idea of what this broken system can bring people to, I suppose. But for the sake of the case and all the time and effort that I put into, like, listening and reading everything and really trying to figure out the fucking case, like, I was trying my best to really give a shit about this case. It's not the most fascinating case in the world, I won't lie. It's pretty best to treat the actual main story as a bit of a side story. The payoff I got for that, with that ending, felt like a massive fucking middle finger, bro. Like, it felt like the game just spat on the floor and was like, there you go. Which is kind of ironic, considering the guy at the end spits on the floor. As, like, a detective game, this thing really shit the bed a little bit. And there are definitely some side tasks that have no business being in the game, because they don't... They're so obviously some shit you wouldn't even entertain, but your character does anyway because he's like such a fuck up, and Kim's like, they're like, what are you doing? Just do the case, please. And it doesn't help you get anywhere closer to the case, and it's just like, why are these side quests in the game? There's no like narrative purpose for them to be there, you know? Like the thing with the club, like the club thing mainly. There was some funny, Egghead was funny. Hardcore to the mega! Hardcore!
Needs to be a club for Nordic music in there. Needs to. Everyone hates each other. Everybody hates it here. It's all just drugs and we're slaves and I can't.
It just very clearly felt pointless, you know? Like all the other side quests I had done up until that point did get me closer to the people I was trying to investigate and interrogate about the murder, and it made sense for it to be there. Even if it wasn't directly related to the murder case. It made sense. That one I just thought was like, what is the point of this? This is just stretching the game out for no reason. The music in this game, by the way, oh my god. The Whirling in Rags music, I love that shit. I'm going to be using that in the background of my videos a lot, dude. That shit was fire, dude. Are you kidding me? Instantly one of my favorite songs in a video game. This game is so loaded with pain, sadness, frustration, and real emotion, and yeah, there is so much you could pick apart and analyze here. I'd love to see what people took from this game, because I can tell I'm still kind of uncovering and unpacking in my head all of its, you know, themes. This has text that's worth really combing over and really interpreting and sitting with. And I love that about it, because that kind of storytelling is just really rare in games to me. It's more something that's used in film, I suppose, but yeah, there's a lot you could pull from Disco Elysium. I think this game's really special, and I can very clearly see why it's such a beloved classic. I think it's definitely a modern classic, one of the few instant classics I think we've had in the past 5 or so years. It's brilliant. 2019 was fucking crazy. You had Outer Wilds and this in the same fucking year. Where the fuck was I? I should have been playing that shit, bro. Can't believe it took me so long. Overall, this experience is one I'm going to be thinking about forever, and I'm sure it's only going to grow on me with time. What other games do I need to play that I haven't played? You don't know what I haven't played, obviously, but you know, follow me on Backloggd. I've got some ratings and reviews on there if you're curious as to what I think of a game. That might help you. But yeah, let me know what else I should fucking play. I love you. Bye!